Chapter 3. The Work of Listening. By the time Maren stepped out of the hall of held stories, the day had fully arrived. The mist that had softened Tidehollow that morning was thinning, lifting, in slow threads that unraveled into the pale blue of the sky. Sunlight settled across the stone paths and wooden walkways, warming them without glare, as if even the light here understood how to be gentle. Maren paused just outside the hall, breathing in. The air felt different now, not because the island had changed, but because she had. She could still feel the hall behind her, the way it breathed, the way it held. The memory of it lingered in her chest, like a calm echo. For a moment, she stood there unsure of which direction to go, as if every path might lead to something important. Kellen noticed first. "You're doing that thing," he said lightly, falling into step beside her. Maren glanced at him. "What thing?" The quiet staring into nowhere. He replied, "It's usually a sign someone's about to learn something, whether they want to or not." Lyra joined them, carrying a small bundle wrapped in cloth. "Or it means she hasn't eaten enough yet," she said, "which is far more dangerous." Maren smiled. "I could eat." "Excellent," Lyra said. "Then you'll survive the morning?" They led her through the village along a path that curved toward the shoreline. As they walked, Maren paid closer attention to the people around her. There was a woman kneeling beside a child, showing him how to knot a thin cord without pulling it too tight. The child frowned in concentration, tongue caught between his teeth. The woman did not correct him when he fumbled. She waited. The cord settled. The knot held. Nearby, an older man sanded the edge of a small boat with slow, careful strokes. Each pass of the tool was deliberate, almost meditative. When someone passed too close, he paused, smiled, and waited for them to move on before continuing. No one rushed. No one seemed anxious about finishing. Maren felt something loosen inside her as she watched. Back home, there was always an edge to the day. The tide would change. Weather would shift. Boats needed to be ready before the sea decided otherwise. Even rest was taken with one ear tuned to the water. Here, rest seemed built into the rhythm itself. They reached a long table near the shore where several people were already gathered. Bread, fruit, and bowls of steaming grains were laid out simply, without ceremony. Someone poured water infused with citrus and herbs into clay cups. "Sit," Lyra said, nudging Maren gently toward an open space. Maren sat, accepting a cup and a piece of bread. She took a bite and felt warmth spread through her, grounding her in the moment. The food tasted honest, nourishing, without trying to impress. Kellen leaned back on his hands, gazing out at the sea. "So," he said, casual but curious. "How does it feel?" Maren swallowed. "The hall?" "Yes, that." She considered the question carefully. "Like, someone helped me put something down without telling me what it was." Lyra hummed thoughtfully. "That sounds about right." A voice from across the table joined in. "The hall doesn't take burdens away. It just shows you where to set them." Maren turned to see Sori approaching, carrying their own cup. They sat across from her, posture relaxed, gaze attentive. "The island noticed you stayed," Sori continued. "That means it's time you learn how things are done here." Maren straightened slightly. "Learn what?" "The work," Sori said, "not the tasks." "The listening?" Kellen grinned. "This is the part where most visitors get confused." Maren tilted her head. "I thought listening was just..." "Listening," Sori smiled faintly. Most people think that. Come, we'll show you. After the meal, they walked again, this time toward the far side of Tidehollow, where the village thinned and the land sloped gently upward. The silver-leafed trees grew denser here, their branches weaving a canopy that filtered the light into soft patterns. As they walked, Sori spoke in a low, steady voice. Listening here is not passive. It is not waiting for sound. It is attention without demand, presence without pressure. Maren absorbed each word carefully. They stopped beside a shallow inlet, where seawater pooled between smooth stones. The water was clear enough to see the sand and shells beneath. Sit, Sori said. Maren did, folding her legs beneath her. Kellen and Lyra sat nearby, uncharacteristically quiet. Sori picked up a small stone and dropped it into the water. Ripples spread outward, gentle and even. Tell me what you hear, Sori said. Maren frowned slightly. She closed her eyes. At first, she heard only the obvious things. The water moving, the breeze through leaves, the faint sounds of the village behind them. She opened her eyes again. The water, the wind. Sori nodded. That's hearing. Try listening. Maren closed her eyes again. She slowed her breath. Let it deepen. Let the sounds blur at the edges instead of sharpening. Something shifted. The water's movement no longer felt like noise. It felt like intention. The breeze felt less like air moving and more like the island adjusting itself. Beneath it all, there was a steadiness she hadn't noticed before. It feels patient, she said slowly, like everything is waiting, but not for me. Just waiting. Sori's eyes warmed. Good. Kellen exhaled quietly. She's a fast learner. Lyra shot him a look. She's not learning. She's remembering. They stayed there for a long while. Sori occasionally dropped another stone into the water. Each time, Maren noticed something new. The way the ripples interacted. The way the water settled itself afterward. The way no ripple ever lasted forever, no matter how wide it spread. Eventually, Sori stood. That's enough for today, they said. Listening takes energy. People forget that. Maren rose slowly, feeling pleasantly tired in a way she hadn't felt before. Not worn out, just used properly. As they walked back toward the village, Lyra nudged her. You'll be helping in my workshop this afternoon, she said. Nothing complicated. Just holding things while they decide what they want to be. Maren blinked. Holding things? Yes, Lyra replied seriously. Very important work. The workshop was warm and smelled faintly of salt, metal, and something floral Maren couldn't identify. Sunlight streamed in through wide openings, catching on glass, stone, and polished tools. Lyra set the cloth bundle she'd been carrying onto a low table and unwrapped it. Inside were several small objects, a cracked shell, a bent piece of wire, a lantern wick that had burned unevenly. These came in today, Lyra said. Nothing broken beyond repair. Just unsettled. She handed Maren the cracked shell. Sit with it, Maren did, turning the shell over in her hands. She felt a faint tension, like the shell was holding itself too tightly. She remembered the stone from earlier, remembered how she hadn't fixed it, only reminded it how to rest. She breathed. Slowly, the tension eased. The shell warmed slightly, the crack no longer feeling sharp. Lyra nodded. There you go. They worked like that for hours. No rushing, no forcing. Sometimes Maren felt something shift. Sometimes she didn't. Lyra never corrected her, never hurried her. At one point, Kellen stopped by, carrying a length of rope that looked particularly stubborn. "Don't suppose you'd listen this into behaving?" he asked. Hopefully. Maren smiled and took the rope. She held it, closed her eyes, and waited. After a moment, the rope slackened slightly, the fibers settling. Kellen's eyebrows lifted. "Well, that's unsettling." Lyra laughed. "Told you." She had listening hands. By late afternoon, Maren felt a deep, satisfying tiredness settle into her bones. They stepped outside together. As the light began to soften toward evening, the sea shimmered. The manta-like shapes drifted beneath the surface, glowing faintly as they passed. Maren sat on a low stone near the shore, legs dangling just above the water. She watched the tide move in and out, feeling more aware of its rhythm now, less separate from it. Sori joined her quietly. "You're settling," they said. Maren nodded. "It feels like learning a new language that I somehow already know." Sori considered her for a moment. "That's because listening is older than words. You grew up with the sea. It taught you before you realized it was teaching." Maren thought of the lighthouse, of sitting beneath it night after night, feeling comforted without knowing why. "Will I forget how to do this when I leave?" she asked quietly. Sori shook their head. "No. Once you listen this way, the world never sounds the same again." The sun dipped lower. Lanterns began to glow throughout the village, their light reflected in the water. Kellen and Lyra joined them, sitting close enough that Maren could feel their warmth. "Tomorrow," Kellen said, "we'll take you beyond the village. There are places the island keeps just for those who stay long enough to hear them." Maren smiled, a slow, steady smile. She felt tired, content, curious. As night settled over Tidehollow, Maren lay back on the cool sand and watched the stars appear, one by one. She thought of her lighthouse again, far away but steady. She felt no ache this time, just connection. The island hummed softly beneath her. The sea answered, and Maren drifted into sleep, with the quiet certainty that her story was no longer something she carried alone. It was being listened to.